What's up, YouTube? Today I'll be making a video on the Toyota Celica buyer's guide. This is going to be more towards the Celica GTS, which is what I have, but it also applies in some way to the GT. So let's get right into it. First thing that I want to talk about is the lift bolts, and now I'm going to go over here to the engine to show you guys the lift bolts. And well, not really show you guys, but just take a look at the engine real quick. So why I wanted to mention the lift bolts is because if you have a Celica GTS from 2000 to 2005, you're probably gonna have to replace the lift bolts. They are gonna be on the left side right here, and when you buy your car or when you're about to buy it, you want to make sure that lift works. If your lift bolts are fine, like of course you're not going to be able to take off the head when you're buying it, but like rev the car up to 6,200 RPM and make sure you hear the cams change position and get into lift. So make sure that works, because it is going to be quite the expensive fix. For mine were fine when I first got the car, but then I pushed it a little bit too much and the lift bolts broke. That was a $500 fix. Yeah, it's pretty expensive. So make sure they work. All you gotta do is take off the head, which is 10mm bolts all around here, disconnect some hoses, and you're good. But make sure it works, because it is a pain in the butt. So, and if the lift bolts are fine and you're not hitting lift, you're just revving it out, then your oil screen might be clogged up, and I'll be making a video in the future about that, which is not hard to do at all. So there's number one, and then I'll be going in my car because I wrote everything down. So number two would be this right here, your parking brake. So parking brake seems to be fine, and it is, but if you get one, make sure the parking brake works, because you're gonna have to, if it's a manual, you're gonna have to have your car neutral, and of course you're gonna need your handbrake. So make sure it works. So yeah, also if you hear it engage but it's actually not working, then it's probably because the cable is stretched out. But if you just try to pull it back to where it's supposed to be, it's not gonna work. You're supposed to go to the rear and undo some things. I'm not really sure how to do that. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that I do know, but it's something like that. So just make sure it works. You're gonna need it. So that's number two. Number three, make sure the VIN numbers match. You're gonna have a VIN number on everything, basically. Your doors, the hatch, your hood, and your title. Mine is pretty messed up, I guess you can say that. So I had to replace a bunch of things. Replace the hood, replace that door right there. I'm gonna replace the hatch, replace the fenders, bumpers, and I'm gonna replace this broken windshield. So, but of course, when you're gonna buy one of these, don't be like me. Don't get it from a junkyard. And make sure the VIN numbers match. Make sure everything's good. And yeah, just make sure everything matches like it should. So now number three. Number four is gonna be look for signs of abuse. Like my car, obviously, I knew it was abused, but something in my head was like, oh, whatever, I'll fix it. Anyways, the car has rot knock. It had a bunch of things messed up on it. It had rust. The floor carpet was messed up. Had no radio. And I mean, just make sure if you see signs of abuse, go look at other cars. Unless you want to fix it yourself, put a new engine in there. If it's not that bad, go for it. But if you don't know that much about cars, take someone else that knows and look for abuse, because these cars will be abused at some point in their life, especially when they're higher mileage, because of this right here. You got 9,000 RPM. You got all of this, and people really will rev this little car out. So make sure the oil changes are on time. These cars rely a lot on oil, and mine has rot knock, and it's pretty sad, but I'll be putting a new engine in this pretty soon. So just make sure oil changes are on time, and make sure you don't see nothing weird in there. Make sure you open the oil cap and just look at, I'll show you right now. When I first got this car, I noticed that there was some weird stuff going on under here. And I was like, oh, whatever. No big deal, right? God damn. I don't want to burn myself. Okay. You see that stuff around it? It's a sign that it was abused. The oil changes were not on time. And that means that your car might be messed up. So make sure you notice the signs of abuse. So that was, I believe, number 4. Number 5 is gonna be rust on fenders. Mine had quite a bit on the old ones. I replaced these. This one has minimum, doesn't have all that much, but there's that. I replaced that one and this one. This one has less rust, but the other ones were really bad. Look out for rust in the back. I am still not sure how to replace this. I don't know if you can even replace it, but if you do have rust right there, that's a whole different world, because you gotta take off that whole piece right there. And honestly, I have no clue how to do that, or take it to a body shop. So look for rust there, look for rust in the front, and yeah, just make sure it's relatively rust free. That was number 5. Number 6 is gonna be make sure things work. As you can see, this car looks, it doesn't look horrible, but that's because I've done a ton of stuff to it. Make sure the sunroof works. These go out sometimes, and just make sure it works. They're pretty expensive. They're like $300 on the internet. I got this one from a parts car. I got everything else from a parts car, actually. Doors, fenders, hatch, hood, bumpers, bunch of stuff for the inside, the seats, and yeah, just make sure that everything works. Hatch struts, they're pretty easy. Look at the check engine light, which brings us to number 7, which is scan the car. Some people will erase the codes, and it's gonna be for a good reason. They don't want you to see something. So if possible, bring a scan tool. If the seller has a scan tool, ask him if he can scan it, and yeah. So that's number 7. Number 8, the radio. My radio had the wires cut all the way from the adapter. So it didn't have the adapter, or I mean the stock harness, which I had to get, and then I had to cut the wire from another car to this one. That was a pain in the butt. And then put the adapter and then connect it to this stereo, which is what you're supposed to do, so I don't complain about that. And then yeah, just make sure it has the stock stereo, or make sure it has like an aftermarket one, which is gonna make your car much better. And it has pretty good sound, honestly. Like, it has a pretty decent sound system. So number 9, check under the hatch for rust, and I'll show you guys. This is mostly my concern, but sometimes you're gonna get leaks around this rubber seal or the antenna, and you're gonna get something like this, which I'll be redoing. I mean painting. You got some more on that side, and yeah, just make sure it's relatively rust free. That kind of goes with that one I said earlier, but take my word for it, you won't regret it, trust me. So number 10, make sure the transmission works pretty good. These are, of course, older cars, and they are gonna have stuff that's worn out, and one of the things that might be in worse shape is the transmission. So this right here, this is a cheap shift knob. So make sure it works pretty good. Of course, it's gonna have wear from just having quite a bit of miles. Mine has a check engine light, not too worried about it. Checked it, it was like some, I forgot what it was, but it wasn't nothing crazy. My car has quite a bit of miles, and it's gonna happen. Things are gonna happen to your car. It's an old car, but one thing that you want to look out for is the transmission. Especially, I'm talking about the manual one. So mine has a problem, and it's probably the synchros. And basically, when I'm going from 5th gear, when I'm downshifting from 5th to 4th, it makes a grinding sound. And I've done it so many times that I don't know if it's my error, because at first I thought, I was like, it's probably me, I'm not that good at shifting, I'm getting started. But now, I'm not saying I'm the best, but every time I go from 5th to 4th, I grind it, having the clutch all the way in, and I still grind it. So make sure you go through all the gears, downshift, hit reverse, do your thing, but test out the car pretty good. Also, make sure it doesn't just pop out of gear. This is more of like a problem with just any car. Drive it in one gear for like 5 minutes, even more if you can, and make sure it doesn't just pop out of gear, because that's gonna be quite the problem. Also, this is more of a aging problem. If your car, you put it in gear, that's first, and then it shakes quite a bit, then I was looking at a video yesterday, and I was explaining what that was. Not too sure what it was, but make sure it's pretty solid when you put it in gear. And that's as much as advice as I can give you on that, because I don't know too much on it. So make sure this is first, and it moves quite a bit. But yeah, well, actually, I think it was the shift bushings. So make sure that shift knob does not move all that much. Make sure it doesn't grind even if you have the clutch all the way in. Also make sure your clutch is good. Take someone that knows how to buy a car. Take someone that knows about cars. And yeah, that is gonna be the Toyota Celica buyer's guide. I've had the Celica for a little bit now, and it's been pretty good to me. I got it at a junkyard, but you know, this is my first car. Got it for 1,200. Been doing stuff to it. Pretty easy to work on, but make sure things work. Go through the video, and if all of those things are good, then you're gonna have so much fun in this little car. Even right now that I have rat knock, I might do a little pull from time to time, and it still puts a smile on my face. It's just a really good car, and I'm sure when I put in the new engine, coilovers, you know, a better shift knob, it's just gonna be a much better car. You're gonna have so much fun in it if you get a good one. Even if you don't, you're gonna have a lot of fun because you're gonna learn a lot. And yeah, I wanted to make this video to help someone out. This is everything you need to know to buy a Toyota Celica. So if you guys like the video, consider subscribing, hit the like button, and I'll be making more videos on the Celica, so stay tuned. I still gotta do my shift knob, which is not hard. You just screw it on there. I'm gonna do the engine swap, coilovers, switching out this windshield, which is all messed up, switching out the hatch and the wing. So might be putting new wheels pretty soon. The winter's about to end over here in Washington, so yeah, I'll be posting more stuff on the car. Forgot to mention short shifter. I have it right now. Pretty soon I'll be making a video on that. I got a bunch of stuff coming up for the Celica, so if you guys like it, subscribe, stay tuned, and I'll see you guys in the next video.